Hello everyone and welcome to Veterans in Crisis podcast. Today we have Kirk Green, and Kirk is from the Smoking Cessation. Is that right?
Yes, you got it right. You didn't call it sensation, which
I nearly did. Welcome, mate. You all right?
I'm fine. Thanks for inviting us along.
No, it's no problem at all. Do you want to, so I don't have to say that again, do you want to describe exactly what it is, this service?
Basically, yeah. The organisation I work for, it's the Sunderland Specialist Stop Smoking Service. It used to be called the Sunderland Smoking Cessation Service. As you said, some people used to call it Sensation Service, and still do. Basically, the current service was launched on the 1st of April last year to basically support people from across the city of Sunderland in stopping smoking. There's been a stop smoking service in Sunderland since around about early 2000, when the previous Labour government put a lot of money into public health and public health services and treatment services, and national smoking cessation services began. And I first joined the Sunderland service way back in 2003, where obviously you had a lot more smokers than you do have today. And over the years, we've seen a gradual reduction in the numbers of people who do smoke, not just in Sunderland, but around the country. What we have now is a lot of people who smoke in quite targeted groups, which we try to work and support as much as we can. But yeah, the service has been around for a lot of years now. We've got good links with organisations, including Veterans in Crisis, all across the city. And basically, we are here to help anybody who wants to stop smoking.
So have you seen a big decline in smoking? Obviously, from years and years ago, everyone. I've never smoked. I'll be honest with you. I've never ever smoked cigarettes. I used to smoke weed all the time, but I used to just put weed in the Rizzler, no cigarettes. I didn't like the taste of cigarettes. And they said it would stunt me growth, and I'm already a dwarf, so I didn't. That's all that to say to me, and I wouldn't smoke.
No, it has come down. They always say areas of higher deprivation where you can class Sunderland as one of those areas, as well as other areas around the northeast, have traditionally had higher rates of smoking prevalence than the national rate. When I first joined the Stop Smoking Services, you were talking around about 23-24% of the population was still smoking. Nationally, we're down to around about 14.5% now. So it has come down quite a bit over those years, but I'm not sure exactly what the rate is in Sunderland now. I think it is slightly higher than that. It might be around about 16 or 17%, but obviously it has come down massively. And I think there's lots of reasons why that has happened. I always remember my mum used to smoke, and she always used to complain every year when the budget came out, the price of cigarettes would constantly go up. So cost has always had a massive impact. I packed in smoking around about 2000. I can't remember how much it was for a pack of cigarettes then, but I think I went into a shop a few months ago and it was something over £10 a packet, and you could have knocked me over with a feather. I didn't realise there were that much. But cost has had a massive impact. I think the introduction of the smoke-free legislation back in 2007 was another major factor where you couldn't smoke in pubs or restaurants and that. So I think that prompted a lot of people to quit as well. I think people are more knowledgeable now, Ger, about smoking and the impact that smoking has on your health. There's more research and more evidence being shown just how harmful it can be on your health. So there's lots and lots of reasons why the rate of smoking's come down over the years.
Well, it's funny you should mention your mum and that. My mum always used to say once to get her a pound, she was going to pack in smoking, she carried on for a bit longer than that, but she tells a story when I was about 5 or something, I must have been getting told off. So I said I was leaving home, right? So I left home by storming off down we had a long path, storming off to the path, but all I took with us was all the ashtrays. I didn't done anything else, so do you know what that crap was. All right.
But I think attitudes towards smoking have changed. I always remember, I mean, it's sort of a personal thing for me, but I lost my mum when I was only 23. She was 52 when she died, and she was going through breast cancer treatment. And this was sort of early 1990s. And I'll always remember this. This will stay with me forever. When she was admitted to Newcastle General for a first round of sort of chemotherapy treatment, the first thing the specialist said to me mum was, "I don't want you to think that your cancer's been caused by your smoking." And I'll never forget that. My mum was in the mindset of, I need to stop smoking now because of, she knew obviously cigarettes were bad for you, even though she continued to smoke. And she was kind of all prepared. And when this health professional, this consultant turned around and said that, it was almost like just giving my mum a green light to continue to smoke. And she just smoked like a chimney.
It's just weird that someone would even say that.
I know, I mean, you can't comprehend anybody today, certainly any health professional saying something like that. But when that happened back in the early 90s, so you're talking about 30 years ago, I was still sort of flabbergasted. And I used to come home sometimes, and my mum, when she was getting treatment at home, and she would be sitting there with a sort of the chemo drip, smoking a cigarette. And I used to just beg and plead with her to stop smoking. But it wasn't enough. But like I said, attitudes and that towards smoking have changed dramatically now. And it's just a lot more people know the risks now. And
Kirk, give us 1 second, mate. I'm just going to have to shut this door.
Where every smoker...
2 seconds.
Right, no worries. Yeah.
Sorry, I just I had some very loud clients in the other room. Right, yeah. Sorry about that. So,
it was...
do you think it's more of a working class thing?
Yeah, I think there is some truth to that. I think a lot of people from sort of working class backgrounds and certainly... Oh, sorry, there's our service.
Right. Do you want to answer?
Somebody,
put them on. Put them on.
Smoking cessation live, yeah. I think all of the research, all the data that we know is that people in routine and manual professions, which you could argue is working class, there's a lot higher prevalence of smoking cessation in those groups. So I certainly think class issue is a major factor in the numbers of people who do smoke. Don't get me wrong, you do still get people in sort of managerial positions who do smoke as well, but the majority of people who come through our service, yeah, you could see our working class background, given sort of what they do for a living, what employment status there are as well.
So what kind of things, if someone was watching this, they wanted to give up smoking, obviously they don't have to be a veteran, because we have people who are not veterans watching this. Well, I hope we do. We have more than 2 viewers, so I'm hoping more than 2 of them are non-veterans. So how could they contact you, but what also could you supply?
Basically, what we offer as a service is it's a standard 12-week program of support. And within that 12 weeks, you get 12 weeks access to medication to help you stop as well as regular support and contact with either myself or one of the other advisors. Obviously, things have changed dramatically over the last few months as a result of COVID. As you know, I was popping over on Tuesday afternoons to Veterans in Crisis to talk with the folks over there, and we also ran a number of clinics at various locations around Sunderland. We would offer...
I seem to have lost you there, Kirk. You all right?
You froze there.
No, you froze, mate. I could hear you quite well. I was all right, but I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I've just had a message saying the internet connection's unstable.
Oh, right. Just a bit like you, then, eh?
Bit like me, aye.
Well, we can always cut it, mate. We can always edit it. Make it look good.
Aye. But no, basically you get 12 weeks access to regular telephone support at the moment. We're doing everything over the phone as a result of COVID. And it's just the same as a normal face-to-face appointment. The only thing we can't do, obviously, is the carbon monoxide readings with people, which I know is a big positive with a lot of people. Really look forward to doing that and seeing them blow that non-smokers reading. It can be quite a powerful moment. So unfortunately, we're not doing any of those, but we do regular weekly or fortnightly telephone support. And in terms of getting the medication, we just will send out either vouchers or letters to the client's home address or their GP practice if need be as well. So we've still been operating a full service all the way through the lockdown. But yeah, if people do want to stop, all the research shows as well, you're 4 times more likely to be successful in quitting if, one, you go through a specialist service like ourselves and you use some medication to support you through your quit attempt. A lot of people do try to quit smoke and just go in cold turkey without accessing any support. But ultimately, all the research shows that you're less likely to be successful if you go that way.
Well, you had a couple of clients here who did really well, really well.
They did fantastic.
I was absolutely gutted that the lockdown happened and then they started smoking again. And it's not as bad, not as many, but it went from loads to nothing at all.
I know.
And I've said to them, start again, because both of them started running, doing a lot of fitness. And they could tell the difference in that machine that they were blowing to. I think one of them was like 20 something, then down to nothing. It's a powerful tool.
It's a massive motivating factor. Honestly, Jay, I've had people in tears. I've had people who've blown really high readings, and they've come back a week, 2 weeks later, and when they blow a non-smoker's reading, they've just burst into tears. I think obviously they're happy, they're pleased, but I think in some cases a sense of relief. I've had a lot of people really shocked in the past who've blown sort of dangerously high readings. And actually it hasn't been just through smoking as well. I've had a couple of instances where the machines have picked up problems. I know I had one person many years ago, they absolutely swore blind that they hadn't been smoking, and they blew a dangerously high reading, and it turned out that they'd had a faulty gas fire at home, and I told them to ask them if they had any gas appliances at home to get them checked, and as a result, they had a faulty gas fire that was leaking carbon monoxide.
That could have killed them, couldn't it?
Exactly. So we've very rarely we've had cases like that, incidents like that. But the carbon monoxide machine is a fantastic tool for us to use, and we use it primarily as a motivating factor because it encourages people to come back for the follow-up appointments just because they want to blow into the machine, just to see that reading. It does have an ulterior motive because it does tell us if people have been having if they have still been smoking as well. But it's mainly used as a motivational tool.
I think that was probably the bit of the downfall for my clients because they knew that we'd get away with it then. Because
the word coming in. But I think it's right what you said. The lockdown has caused major challenges. People have smoked because, like what you've said, it's been out of boredom. They've had nothing else to do. Alternatively, on the flip side of that, we have had a lot of people who've accessed the service, and it's not just our service. This has been mirrored nationwide with other smoking cessation services as well. The lockdown has prompted people, because of the increased risk of contracting COVID if you do smoke, and your increased risk of picking up breathing, respiratory problems, respiratory infections. As a result, it's shown that smokers are at high risk of COVID as a result of that. So I think it scared a lot of people as well to contact the service and do something about it.
Do you think you'll get a lot more people than because of COVID giving up?
Well, I think we have seen that. We've seen a marked increase over the last few months. It eased off a little bit about a month or so ago, but actually we're picking up as a service. We're getting a lot of referrals and a lot of self-referrals as well. Sorry, I've just had something pop up on my screen there.
Glad it wasn't porn, mate.
No, no, it's just our online system. I haven't been on it for 15 minutes or so, and it flashed. So anyway, so yeah, it's prompted a lot of people to contact the service, but on the other hand, it's also proved quite challenging. Certainly when we phoned people up who were midway through their quit attempt, how are you getting on? Oh, I'm stuck in the house. I'm bored. I've got nothing to do. It's presented a major challenge for the service to kind of keep people on track as well.
Do you know when you watch old films and old series or whatever, and people smoking inside, it probably shocks you, doesn't it?
I know.
Like, because my daughter, obviously, I think she's 15, so she wouldn't remember. But like, to me, when it comes on, you just think, why are they smoking inside? And it's natural. Now, I remember when it first was happening, everyone was kicking off. Pubs will shut down. It's a nightmare and all that.
Yeah.
But it makes your clothes smell a lot better the next day, doesn't it?
Exactly.
You stink when you come in, and that's from a non-smoker.
Yeah. No, it was interesting because, we had all of this, the concerns about the pubs closing and stuff. But I remember it was Ireland who were the first country in the UK to introduce the smoke-free legislation. And it actually created, I remember looking back, it created almost like a new culture where people were smoking in their groups or individually in pubs. But the result of the legislation meant that they had to then move outside, and they were actually interacting with other smokers that they wouldn't necessarily speak to. So it actually created almost like a new social group.
Just complaining about having the guy outside for the smoke.
Sort of cowering under canopies and patio heaters in Dublin and places like that. So it created almost this subculture because smoking was always deemed to be this antisocial behaviour, but the result of that smoke-free legislation, it actually became quite a socialising thing because it was making smokers interact more with other smokers. So it was quite unique in that respect. But ultimately, it wasn't about sort of targeting or demonising smokers. The reason this legislation came in was to actually protect workforce from the dangers of second-hand smoke. And a lot of people dismiss second-hand smoke, but again, as each year passes, there's more and more evidence now to suggest, the impact that smoke does have. I mean, the big push for second-hand smoke, if you remember Roy Castle, who used to do record.
Roy Castle, with his trumpet.
Exactly. He used to go around all the workman clubs with his trumpet performing and stuff in smoky rooms and smoky atmospheres. Never smoked in his life. And he died of cancer, unfortunately. So secondhand smoke was a big, and he was a big champion of trying to counter secondhand smoke as a result.
With COVID now, they're talking about stopping people smoking outside, aren't they? Outside of pubs, because there's not enough room for people who don't smoke with social distance.
Yeah, well, I haven't actually heard that, but that's an interesting one, because there was always the people sort of smoking in entrances and doorways. There's always been, since the smoke-free legislation was introduced, there's always been sort of issues around that. Going, it's all very well, people going outside to smoke, but the fact that you have to fight your way through a throng of smokers to get into a bar or a restaurant and stuff. And people do come, especially during bad weather and stuff like that. They're in doorways and stuff smoking. So it kind of defeats the object. But the whole, the impact that COVID's had, it's an interesting one, because obviously it was only last weekend, wasn't it, that the pubs reopened and the restaurants reopened. just to see how they're actually managing that.
What do you think? What's your thoughts on these vape things?
The vape ones it's a really interesting one. I mean, we get a lot of people who are accessing the service who inquire about vaping and using vaping. And our stance as a service is, if you want to use a vape to help you stop that, is absolutely fine. The line from and the evidence from Public Health England states that these are 95% safer than regular cigarettes. Basically, what you're getting with vapes, to a degree, is the same as nicotine replacement therapy. You're just getting nicotine. It's a clean delivery system of nicotine. You're not getting all the harmful chemicals and additives and toxins that they put in cigarettes, which is basically what causes all of the health problems and the damage. Nicotine on its own, although it's an incredibly addictive drug, is relatively harmless compared to the other stuff that you get in cigarettes. So they class them as 95% safer. They are still fairly a new product. They haven't been around that long. If you think how long we've had cigarettes for, e-cigarettes, vapes are fairly new. There's a lot of studies taking place at the moment, and I think it's going to be a few years, yes, till we see the results of more long-term studies where they'll actually monitor and evaluate people who have been using vapes over a number of years to then be able to give better evidenced research in terms of the longer-term impacts of vapes on people who use them regularly. So I think it might be a few years yet before we get any hard research to say, yes, that they're absolutely safe, or they're not absolutely safe.
What I've noticed about them is, so cigarettes, you have to go outside.
Yeah.
Whereas people just seem to have the vape in the mouth constant. Not everyone, but some people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it as well. I think even though if you go around like shopping centres and bars and stuff like that, you will see no smoking. This includes the use of e-cigarettes. But you do still I still see people when I live in Washington. I often see people walking through the galleries and they're openly puffing away on the vapes in the shopping centre. And technically, you're not allowed to do that. So I suppose there's a danger that it kind of normalises that sort of behaviour. Obviously, since 2007, if you've wanted to smoke, you can't smoke in an enclosed public space. You've got to go outside. And I suppose the use of vapes and the fact that some people feel it is okay and it's acceptable to use indoors in public places sometimes clouds that a little bit, I think.
You can get them really like powerful ones, can't you? Like that send loads out, because the first time I seen one of them, it was a car in front of us.
Yeah.
And just loads of smoke come out of the window.
Yeah.
And I really thought the car was on fire. It sounds a bit dramatic now because now you know what it is. But the first time I saw it, I really thought the car was on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's they've advanced really quickly over the last few years. I always remember the first ever, what you would call an e-cigarette that I ever saw advertised. Can you remember those catalogues you used to get through the door, like Clean Easy?
Oh, yeah.
That was the first place. It was a Betterware catalogue. I remember seeing the first time I ever saw an e-cigarette being advertised. And then the sort of took off. So the first sort of lot of e-cigarettes, they designed them to be exactly the same size and same shape as a cigarette, with like a little light on the end to simulate, when you took a little puff on one, it would light up. So they were trying to mirror it, sort of, it was exactly like smoking. But then this started to become more advanced. You would then get sort of one the size of a pen, and it would have a cartridge and a coil and a battery in, and you would puff on that. But then you started what we used to call mod kits, or what we call mod kits, and those are the really big, chunky, very advanced, and some of them can be really, really expensive as well, and the more effective delivery of nicotine from those kits. But the oils that they use come in different flavors, but they also come in different strengths as well. So it depends on what strength somebody's using.
Would you think obviously we can't prove this, but do you think that means that it's targeted at kids? Because why would a grown-up want bubblegum flavour or
Yeah.
cola flavour or whatever? Because when I was a kid, and to be honest, they were quite nice. You would get chocolate cigarettes, right? And I'd like a
Oh
Rizzler
yeah,
round,
the sugar paper.
aye.
Yeah, yeah. Remember
Or
those,
you
yeah.
could get just candy ones, what had the red at the end. Or you could
Yeah.
even get these ones what you blue and a little bit of ice and sugar come out the end, so it looked like
Yeah, like the
smoke.
joke cigarettes. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was obviously targeted for kids. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking these strange flavours and things must be targeted, because I see kids walking around with them vapes all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they are. I mean, I'm sure I read a piece of research, been last year, where they'd actually looked into that as to whether or not there'd been an increase in vape usage amongst young people. And the research didn't back that up. But I do agree, you do see a lot of young people using them. And I think a lot of it's down to sort of the marketing as well.
Mm.
Obviously, there's been massive... there's been a massive push over recent years to get the introduction of plain packaging in. So, you know, when you go into a supermarket or whatever now, and you'll see, okay, it's all behind a display, but all the packets are now standard pictures of health warnings, the very drab, dreary colours, because that used to be the tobacco industry's, one of their big draws was to come up with quite visual display packets, which were again designed to appeal more to younger smokers, because that ultimately is the how the tobacco companies are going to survive in the future. They need to continue to recruit younger smokers to make way for the older smokers who will eventually die as a result of their habits.
I'm always really shocked when I see a kid smoking now, and I'm talking kids like 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I just can't understand, knowing that what everyone knows now, why a kid would smoke.
Yeah, no, it is, Harry. When I first joined the Stop Smoking Service in 2003, I was a young person stop smoking advisor. My background prior to getting into the health service, I was a youth and community worker. I used to be based up in Pennywell in Sunderland. And I was employed as a young person stop smoking advisor, and we could see young people from the age of 12 and upwards. That was the earliest I could start seeing people, and young people, 12, 13-year-old, could access the service and get access to nicotine replacement therapy to help them stop. And I'll never forget, I made the front page of the Sunderland Echo in 2004, No Smoking Day, when we officially launched the young person service here in Sunderland. We called it Burnout, and it made the front page of the Sunderland Echo under the headline, Nicotine Patches Given to Kids. And there I was quoted. But ultimately, you know, it did help. It did help.
I've been in the Echo for worse stuff than that, mate. Don't worry about it. You know, some of my clients say that they started smoking as young as 6.
Oh yeah,
as young as 6.
I'll tell you a story now. When I worked for the service, we used to deal with a lot of the reps from the pharmaceutical companies who used to go and visit different stop smoking services around the region and around the country. And I remember speaking to one of the reps, and they'd been to visit another service and was speaking to some of the advisors from another service. And they had a 6-year-old on their books who was smoking 15 a day, and they were given to the young people as by the parents as a pacifier.
It's just mental, that, like.
I was gobsmacked. I was absolutely gobsmacked.
I mean, surely them parents, there's got to be a law where, you know, surely there should have been some sort of like neglect kind of thing there.
Well, there's, again, you're getting into quite controversial areas there, because there has been, I've been in conversations before where people have said, you know, if people who smoke, who are pregnant and smoke, and the cause and damage, is that potentially a case of child abuse? Mm-hmm. You're getting into very, very dodgy territory then talking about that. But yeah, there's you have to think, when you've got children that young. I mean, the dangerous thing for me is their bodies are still growing. Certainly their lungs, their organs, that they haven't. So they're still growing, they're still developing and stuff like that. And it's really, it's really quite scary when you see really young children smoking.
No, it's not good, mate. Is there anything you want to get out before we finish? I know you can, if you send me some link or anything, the website, whatever, Joe from Tile Image can put it along the bottom. So when it comes on.
Just to let everybody know, we operate, the service operates during office hours, Monday to Friday. We're also open on Saturday mornings as well. If you do want to contact the service, we do have a free phone number on our little pens here. So if you do want any help in stopping smoking, you can contact the service on 0800 169 9913.
If you email me that and the website, and I'll just put it so it runs along the bottom for the half an hour.
Yep, I'll send all the details as well, and something as well, Joe, just to let people know what we're introducing as well as a result of the situation with COVID. If people maybe, don't necessarily want to speak to an advisor, they just want a little bit of advice, we've introduced a new live chat function on the website. So you can actually go on, and you'll have seen these before on like insurance company websites, where would you like to speak to an advisor now, and a little text window comes up and you can type your questions. We've got that function now on our website. So if you do have any just general questions, queries about stopping smoking, or any of the medications that we use, you can drop us a line there. And we've also introduced, very similar to what you and I are doing right now, sort of a video consultation. It's called Attend Anywhere. And basically anybody who's got a smartphone with a video camera, like I said, very similar to a Zoom chat like this, they can have a face-to-face consultation with an advisor like this, rather than just over the phone as well. So we're just making different ways for people to access the service as well. I will send you the details to put on.
Brilliant. Well, also, if you can, try and drop us a line and tell us when you can start coming back to the ERV.
I mean, I don't know if you're, I can't see it being a problem at the moment. I mean, if you're getting people back in, if you're getting other organisations to come out to speak to the veterans, I'm sure that won't be a problem as well.
Well, we have the 3 floors, so the room gets cleaned every time someone's used it, so there will be space for you to come in.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that won't be a problem, but I'll get back to you about that as well, and we'll get something in the diary.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kirk.
Okay, pleasure speaking to you.
Lovely speaking to you, pal. Thanks a lot.